Hey, it's me, Jimmy D, and we got some news we didn't expect. I was planning on having another different Marvel video come out today, but this is the one we got. So, I'm here with John and Cody. Uh, guys, we lost Spider-Man. I don't feel so good.
Okay, so that's the thing I wanted to say because I have a Nine News article up right now because
Okay.
I saw that, and according to a person close to the deal who was unauthorized to speak publicly, said that negotiations are not yet final.
Mm-hmm.
But the suggestion that Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige may not produce future live-action Spider-Man movies and that the character itself might not appear in any more Marvel Cinematic Universe, blah 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 blah. So basically, the rest of this article is that it's the talks are still going on
Yeah,
and it is not final yet. Um,
but this is the way it's leaning.
yes, and I can't. Uh, for I read two different things that say it was more Sony's thing or one it's more Feige's thing because from what I saw, what Marvel wanted essentially was that Kevin Feige would produce
Mm-hmm.
and that the profit sharing would be something like 50-50.
So I saw two. I saw 50-50, but I saw the financing, so like the cost of the movies
Uh-huh.
was 50-50. That's what I saw.
Oh, okay.
Um, it didn't say box office. It just said the financing. They would co-finance the movies, which I took as actually like putting the money in to make the movie.
Let's see, I'm reading because I'm still reading a bunch of articles to see
Yeah.
because two movies are still in production with the same cast and crew. So talks between the two companies had reportedly been going on for months, with the decision nixing Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige from Spider-Man's universe entirely. Hmm. According to Deadline, Disney asked the future Spider-Man films have a 50-50 financing. Yep, there you go.
Hmm.
Between the studio. Sony refused and proposed keeping the current arrangement where Marvel receives roughly 5% of first dollar gross, according to Deadline sources.
Hmm.
Disney then refused Sony offer to keep the arrangement. I mean, based on that, I'm not sure who to blame.
Yeah. It's two-sided. It's they came to the negotiating table. Sony was like, "We're good with what we got already." So Disney was like, we put a lot of work into this. Can we get a little bit back? And Sony was like, nah. So it's both sides.
Well, I could see
I
how.
blame money.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, I mean, duh.
Well, the thing is, I'm split because I can understand how Disney would want more,
Yeah,
considering how much they put into it. On the other hand, I feel like Disney can afford to back off a bit. I don't know. I don't know
I feel
because
like okay, yes, try to get more, but when Sony's like, no, don't risk fucking Spider-Man, and be like, and just say, okay, fine, because you have a really good thing going.
no,
and,
I understand, and that's the thing. It's not final yet, at least from what
yeah,
I'm reading. It's like everyone keeps using it's likely going to happen. It could happen.
yeah.
It hasn't actually happened yet, and I mean, now that might be wishful thinking, but you know, I don't know. It's difficult because it's going to be weird because it's going to be with John Watts again as director
Yeah.
for the next two movies and Tom Holland and I
Yep.
I presume the rest of the cast, but it's just not going to be in the MCU and I think it's just
That I'm sorry, but your writing is going to be shit if you have to do the same cast, same director, everything, but you have to take out everything that's MCU related.
It's gonna be the Netflix verse all over the fuck again. On we want to mention them, but we can't mention them.
Well, not even that. Like you can't like at least with the Netflix stuff, you still got the feeling that it was present.
well, it's interesting because this is the thing is I think that if this happens, from what I understand of the way that the agreement works, certain things that you'd think would carry us over, even if he leaves the MCU, wouldn't. And I think one of those would actually be MJ.
Really?
I don't think I think so because from what I understand, the way the agreement works is the like if you to keep the rights separate, they don't have like the decision to make Mary Jane in these new movies, not Mary Jane, make her MJ and not like the original Mary Jane
And
was
name her
intentional.
Michelle.
That they did that intentionally because if the split were to happen and they had done that, both studios would have a claim to that kind of the likeness of that character. Therefore, neither of them could ever use it.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. And so now, if they were to split, what they could do is they could actually Sony could bring in a traditional Mary Jane, but they wouldn't be allowed to use the traditional Michelle that we've seen because both studios have a. So anything like that. That's why the Vulture was reimagined with this mechanical suit and Michael Keaton. Now I think that was a better version of what the classic version.
Hands down.
So they were making that work, but technically speaking, that was also a thing they did. That was for rights purposes. So and I don't think, and basically my understanding is any version of a villain that Marvel would use has to be distinctly different than anything that Sony has done or could do.
If Marvel ever does, for example, Doc Ock or the Goblin, or just mainly those two, because those are the two we've seen kind of fleshed out the most.
Yeah.
It's going to be extremely interesting to see them do it, because...
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Because, for one, I think they would introduce... I think they would just... If they introduced Goblin, I think they would just introduce Norman Osborn. I think if they introduced any Goblin, it would probably be Hobgoblin.
Yeah.
They could do that. The thing is, though, it would have to be like if any of the goblins, they'd have to be different than like the William Dafoe Green Goblin that we've seen, or
It's just going to be so hard to beat William Dafoe with Green Goblin.
And any Doc Ock would have to be different than oh goodness, I'm forgetting the actor's name from Spider-Man 2. I feel bad because it's Alfred Molina.
Yeah.
So it would be on one hand that's a good thing because they're kind of forced to reimagine these characters in a way.
Well, it's a good thing because they're forced to use secondary characters that most people really wouldn't think of.
Yeah.
Most Spider-Man fans, when they think of his villains, they think of Goblin, Ock, Venom. They don't really think of someone like Vulture, Mysterio.
Well, but the thing is, though, you're right, and I like that they're doing these other characters. On the other hand, I still want to see a Doc Ock, and I still want.
I definitely want a Green Goblin.
But this is all assuming, of course, that he stays. It's just going to be. I don't know if audiences will. I don't know how people will react because it's gonna be fucking weird.
Exactly, because I think that's the reason they haven't really pulled like the Harry Osborn or the Norman Osborn family yet.
And that's kind of the thing. One, the top 15 things trending worldwide on Twitter right now is all Spider-Man related.
Top 15?
Top 15. You got Spidey trending, Sony, Marvel, MCU, Peter Parker. I mean, Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige, you got all that trending.
It's interesting that we're hearing about this when, again, the deal is not quite final yet.
It's like a negotiating tactic.
Yeah, that's what this might have been intentional. Somebody on either side of the party wants to get the backlash going to force something to go through, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the thing is, though...
I think it's the backlash to kind of force a ceasefire of just, well... We're going to keep it as it is, but just know that these talks aren't over.
So, a lot of the reaction is people siding with Disney.
Oh, well, the thing is, we just talked about that. I'm not entirely sure this is all Sony's fault.
Yeah, exactly. I understand Sony, because Sony owns Spider-Man.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too, because when you sent me that, because I was leaving work when I got that picture, so that was when you put it in the chat, and I saw it completely out of context. And my first instinct was to go after Sony, but then I had to I was like, wait, hold on a second, I had to read about this.
And that's the first thing too. I saw it, and that was like, oh fuck you, Sony. And then that's why I put up
the what the fuck, because I think, and that's bad, because the general consensus is, because Sony has done such a shit job with Spider-Man, is that the general audience consensus is, well, this is all Sony's fault. But if you actually sit down and you actually read the article, like John has said, and you actually go to the details, sort of in the wrong. Yeah, they're sort of right, but they're sort of in the wrong at the same time.
Like, Disney is being, I would say, a little greedy here.
Perhaps. On the other hand, the thing is, this most recent Spider-Man movie was like Sony's #1 highest grossing film, ever.
It beat The Matrix.
If I'm sitting on Disney's side, I can understand where it's like, we put a lot of shit into this, and we're not really seeing, we don't want to disparage Sony, but we're not really seeing a lot out of this.
Because all they get is merch.
Exactly. So, I would say I'm arrowing on the side of Disney in the sense that I think they can take it, like
Yeah.
they can, but I maybe the thing is it depends on what they do with him because they're positioning him, and they did in Far From Home. They positioned him as kind of almost a replacement Tony Stark,
Yeah.
and I can understand if you're going to do that, then he's going to be your headline character. He's going to represent your universe. Yeah, you probably want a higher stake in that than you
Yeah.
had previously.
And also, like, a lot of the rumors going around that one of the big phase 4 villains, overarching villains, is going to be Norman Osborn. So with that rumor,
That'll be interesting. The thing is, that's another topic, but I just feel like I don't know because from what I've seen, at least in this next phase, and I don't know, we don't know exactly what the phase after will be, but it doesn't seem like they're doing a same kind of Avengers overarching thing.
No, it seems like they're doing a second tier to like their cosmic shit.
mm-hmm. Well, most of the movies and shows take place on Earth for this phase. So it's definitely interesting because, I mean, the big movies that are cosmic related, Guardians and Captain Marvel, they're not even in this phase.
Back, but we do have an Eternals movie.
Yes,
we do
but that's taking place on Earth.
Yeah, but same thing with the Thor movie. Like, even though if it takes place on Earth, because Asgard is now on Earth, but like Norman Osborn doesn't have a finger in any of those pies. You know what I mean? Like he's not. I don't think he's got anything to do with that shit. Yeah. Assuming he even exists in the MCU, etc.
He's not no Wilson Fisk to where it's like you literally feel like he has a grasp on this city. You know, turn.
Well, that's the thing.
Like,
I mean,
Norman Osborn. Asgard and be like, this is a really great town, but secretly in the underground of Norman Osborn's, spy system.
Well, freaking Asgard's in Scandinavia, and I don't even know if the Eternals will be in New York exclusively anyway. So it's like, I don't know. That would be an interesting though, but I just don't think Norman Osborn has the same like Thanos affected everybody. Yeah. Norman Osborn, it's like he's just kind of a rich asshole.
Exactly.
He's Norman Osborn is a pure Spider-Man type of villain.
I agree, but it does suck that we're kind of, in purgatory.
We're in this, we're in this position.
And I wanted to say this. I mean, we just went talking about, I feel what you said earlier about Sony, though, I think is partially correct. I wouldn't go so far as to say that Sony is being overly arrogant with the character, like, oh, we know it's better now. Yeah. But I do think that it's weird, this kind of confidence that they have all of a sudden, because they had Venom did okay and Into the Spider-Verse did well. And it's like, okay, so you did 2 movies. One was actually good. The other one just was okay. You just didn't fuck it up. And now all of a sudden you think that you know everything. You're good. You know what you're going to do now. You're fine. It's like, no, it's not. That is yet to be seen.
You're passing on a C+, B- at most.
You're the kid who spoke up in class, and the teacher's like, all right, if you know it all, then teach the class.
Yeah, no, you're the kid who doesn't talk at all, but on like the second to last week answers a question and thinks I'm the smartest motherfucker in here come final time.
Well, that's and I'm just like, if I was Sony, I'd be playing the humble, careful card, not the oh yeah, we know what we're doing. We know what's best. It's like no, you don't.
Because there's too much evidence that if given free range, y'all will fuck this shit up in a heartbeat.
And I don't know how audiences will respond where all of a sudden it's just Tom Holland is just yanked from the MCU. And
They'll hate it.
They will despise it. If Twitter is any indication right now, they will burn that fucking thing. There's been GIFs showing the Avengers Assemble moment, and it's like us running to Sony headquarters to whoop ass. And then there's another one where it's Thanos, and he's like, and it's just like Sony after they fail for Tom Holland. So after your failure, you come back to me.
Well, it's just gonna be the worst thing I think is gonna happen is that they'll do that. I don't know if it'll bomb, but it's probably not gonna do very well.
No.
And then because people are just gonna be fucking pissed, and then
it'd be critically destroyed.
I mean, it could very well be. I don't know. The thing is,
just say like so say if Sony takes it and they do a Spider-Man movie and it's critically bombed. And we don't know if that will be the final nail in Sony's coffin, because we've said that every movie they come out will probably be the final nail in their coffin, and yet, like a zombified corpse, they keep
Oh,
rising.
we thought Venom was like, oh no, but Venom isn't horrible. I mean, it isn't amazing or great.
I don't think anything's. Sony's going to be around. If it happened and they take out Spider-Man and make their own movie, if it bombed, I think they would probably just put him back in the MCU. Depending on what they do in the movie, they may not have done anything you can go back on.
Our luck, Spider-Man 3 would end up being the Green Goblin. Then it's only Sony, so then the Green Goblin would never be in the MCU.
But the thing is, though, it's like, first of all, it would be weird because even though you say that, it's like I don't even think that they'd be able to reference the fact that he had fought the Vulture, Mysterio, that he'd gone through all of that. I don't even think Sony's able to do that if they were to
like how would you even have Peter Parker's whole
they're gonna act like that he probably did in fucking Spider-Verse, to where it was like, all right, let me give you the story. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been fighting villains, I've been kicking ass, and I've been saving the day for years now. All right, cool, we all know the story, let's just move on.
But you couldn't have any characters reference anything that happened in Homecoming or Far From Home.
That's the thing. And
no, it won't just be Homecoming and Far From Home. It'll be Homecoming, Far From Home in these next two movies.
Well, no, what I'm saying is you couldn't have Peter Parker or any of the side characters in these Sony movies reference anything that happened in the two MCU movies.
Or Civil War.
Or Civil War. Or Endgame. Or Infinity War.
It affected this Peter Parker and Spider-Man.
It would basically be a new character but starring the same people.
That's the thing. It's going to be so weird. But my only thing is, we assumed that it could bomb. I don't even know if it will, because the same cast but the same director and I believe the same writers are coming back who've been doing this.
Yeah.
And it could very well not bomb. It could do pretty well. I just don't know. I don't know if general audiences, and not the people who like us and the people on Twitter who know about all of this stuff. I think the general Joe Schmo off the street probably isn't going to know a damn or give a damn.
I mean, we got two amazing Spider-Man movies. So... I mean, it's very possible. Like, the general person.
Truth be told, I'm saying I don't know. I'm only casting doubt because I still, to this day, will talk to people who are like, what's an MCU? You know, like, for just people out there. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. But
that's going to do it. Let us know in the comments below what you think about the Spider-Man news. Would you see a Sony-only Spider-Man movie starring Tom Holland and all that? So, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And like always, I will see you in the next one. Later.